Let me check and see if the levels are. There we go. And I want to set that right there just to make sure. Can I ask you your name, please?
Morris Eugene Lewis.
Okay, Pastor Lewis, I am, just for the record, I am Lee McInnes. I am here interviewing you on as part of an oral history project between Auburn University's History Department and the NAACP branch in Opelika. We're doing oral history interviews. And I have to ask you to answer this verbally. You are aware that we are recording this interview?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay, all right. So we can get started. I have a list of questions here that I always, whenever I'm doing an interview, going way back to when I was in the Army, I always have the questions written down. That way I don't wind up just talking.
Gotcha.
That way there's things we want to talk about. I already know a little bit about you, but just so that we get it on the record and get it on the recording, I'm going to go ahead and ask you some things that we met with the NAACP at a function a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
There's some things we're going to cover again, but that's just because we want to make sure we get everything on tape.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you were born and raised in Auburn, Alabama.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So can I ask what year you were born?
I was born in 1949.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. March the 22nd, matter of fact, of 1949.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And can I ask, what did your parents do for work?
My mother, in the early part of her life, she, that I'm aware of, she didn't live here. She worked in Atlanta, and my grandmother, Mary Kate Ogletree, and my grandfather James Ogletree, we called him Boise Ogletree. They kind of raised us when we were little. Me and my brother were little, because I remember when mother came back, we had been calling our grandmother mother, so we called her Mommy when she first came back until we got up enough to recognize she was our mother. And then my grandparents, they ran a business here called Ogletree Garage and Grocery up on at the end of Highway 14, where Highway 14 don't do it now, but it used to come straight into Auburn and turn to your right or to your left. Now they got the road going behind that station.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like that, but they had a station right at the end of the road, Ogletree Garage and Grocery. And Moms came back, and then best of my memory that I remember of that period of time was after my grandfather passed and my grandmother passed, mother tried to run the business for a while, Ogletree Garage and Grocery. So she did that for a while, and it didn't work out, and then she sold it. And between her selling it, she married a gentleman named Reverend E.D. Porter. And at that point, my memory served me right, mother began to work for, it was a Lee County Head Start.
Okay.
She began working for them as a cook, and they had just got started. She used to cook the food out of our kitchen and go deliver it. And then she went back to school at Tuskegee and got her dietitian degree, and she became a dietitian for Head Start. And she worked there for many years, up until I know when I went off in the military, she's still working there.
Okay. So you grew up in Auburn in the 50s and 60s. What was it like for a young black man growing up in Auburn?
Well, it was segregated. I ran into that on several occasions. My two memories that I always see in my mind when I was walking down the street of Auburn one day, and I was told to get off the sidewalk for this white lady. And I was young and rebellious, and I refused to do it, so I had to run home. Keep getting caught. And then one day I was up at the Santa Fe, they got a sign up there now, historic marker for Santa Fe.
I remember the Santa Fe's.
Yeah, I was up there one day trying to get some ice cream, and I was up there at the window, and this lady came behind me, and the man told me to move, so she come to the window. I refused to move. He said he gonna call the police, so I struck out and ran home. I ran all the way home when I got home. Those two memories of segregation I remember. Then I remember when I was a teen, getting a job. It was a building down there where the Auburn, not Auburn, but Regis Bank is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Regis Bank is in Auburn.
Yeah.
There used to be a building down there, and where that new apartment complex thing is built, that was a service station there, and a Miller's Garage on the other side of that service station. But a man opened a place there called Guy's Appliance. They had a place in Opelika and one in Auburn. And mother always told me, I always find out what folks paying before you take a job. But I was young, and they wanted me to live, and I wanted to drive, so I took the job. And I worked for a whole week. And the man came in Friday, Saturday morning and gave me $25. He said that was my weekly pay. And I told him, no, I can't work for that. I left. So those things of segregation that I remember, the sidewalk issue and the pay, it didn't pay you anything. So you had an option of taking it or leaving it. So I left it.
Now, did you know white employees were getting paid more money than you, or you just didn't think it was enough?
I didn't think it was enough.
Okay.
And I think all the black employees they had, because he told me, the reason I found out about that was when I left, I went to work. They were building the women's dormitory university, and they had federal money, so they had to pay. At that time they had to pay at least a minimum wage. See, at the guys at Prime, they wasn't paying the minimum wage. They just gave what they want you to have. And I went to work over there. But the gentleman sent word to my mother that he wanted me to come back because I did such a good job in the warehouse. And when I went back to talk to him about it, he told me, he said, that's all they ever paid black people. That they work for them. And I told him I couldn't work for that, and I had another job now. He said, well, I talked to my brother. He told me I'd pay you whatever I want to pay you. You were doing a good job. So he brought me up to a different standard. But he told me if I go to Opelika store, don't tell anybody what they were paying because they didn't pay that to black help.
So, did you ever get a chance to visit any other towns or any other cities in the South?
Well, I remember Mother's take us down to Montgomery because she was concerned about our feet and she, getting us the right shoes. And I remember she used to take us down to Montgomery. But vaguely I remember about that was that we was told not to touch anything in the store and stuff like that. But I don't remember no incident happening while we were down there.
I was just wondering if you'd ever seen, if Auburn was any different than any other towns that you'd ever visited, or if it was, Auburn likes to think of itself as, we're a university town, so we were above a lot of the things that went on back in the day because we're, we're a university, everybody's more enlightened, but I've always wondered if it would that's true or that's just what people like to think now.
Well, I don't think I can tell on that part. I answered my spirit in the military. I know when I went to the military, I ended up in the D.C. area, and that's a lot different than Auburn. I saw stuff that was different. Businesses with more courteous things, open long and things like that. But for the racial incidents, at Auburn and other places, I had none in other places, so I can't really make a comparison about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you about your military service in just a second.
Okay.
Because that's I want to talk about that. So you were one of the first students to integrate Auburn High School. Yeah.
Now, I give Auburn credit on one thing. Auburn, I'm saying that I'm not in the administrative, but I think that the mindset at that time, I think the superintendent was Tig, I believe was his name. I can't remember for sure. But he ended up being superintendent, being state superintendent of education. I forgot his name now. Anyway, Auburn was, from what I guess my mother and others was talking, we were teenagers, but they were having meetings, things like that. And Auburn was trying not to have these racial incidents, this protest and all that. They were trying to avoid that, I think. And so they had come up, I got this from my mother sitting around listening. They had came up with this, they were going to do the freedom of choice. But they were going to only do it for the 12th and the 11th grade at the high school, and then I think the 8th and the 7th in junior, or whatever the other part of the school was called. And mother went to that meeting, whatever meeting it was the NAACP had, I can't remember. And she came home and said that, told us that what they were going to do. And she said, well, I want you to go. I said, me to go? Yeah, I want you to go. I said, Mama, I don't know, I'm good. She said, no, I want you to go. I'm going down to the Board of Education and visit the superintendent and see if he can get you to go. So she went down to the Board of Education and requested. I think it was the fact, I'm not sure now, I think it was the fact they had nobody at that point who had agreed, who had volunteered to be in the 11th grade. It was going to be the 12th and the 11th high school and the 8th and the 7th in junior high. But I think at that point where they had somebody for the 12th, that was my neighbor around the street, Gwendolyn Carlisle. but they had nobody for the 11th. I think that what the deal was. So mother said, even though y'all not doing the 10th grade, I was in 10th. She said, y'all not doing the 10th grade. She said, I want my boy to come in the 10th grade. And so she went to the board and made that request, and they said, okay. And so she come on and told me I was going. My mother was the type of woman that when she said something, I said that's the way it's going to be. It was going to be that way.
Yeah.
Well, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be that way.
Yeah, like I told you, my mother was. Yeah, we had the same mother. It sounds like. I mean, my mother did not take no for an answer easily.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. I can tell you a very brief story to make my point. She told us about girls, dating girls. She told us that if you date a girl, you know, make sure you like the girl because if you get pregnant, you're going to marry her. My brother was dating a girl, and the girl got pregnant. He came home and he told me first, so-and-so, I've got a name, I got pregnant. I said, well, you in trouble. I'm going to tell you how they're supposed to work. No, I talked to her family. They don't have no money. They don't have to get married. So he comes to the dinner table, we sit at the dinner table, and he said, Mama, he said, Darlene, that's her name, Darlene. He said, Darlene is pregnant. Mama said, oh. Another thing about my mother was she was always cool, calm, collect. She never revealed her hand. She said, oh. She said, yeah. She said, okay. We kept on eating like, no, nothing gonna happen. We get through eating, and she tells, we had a little policy in the house where everybody had a week to wash dishes. It was my week. She said, son, don't wash dishes. We got to go meet somebody. She put all of us in the car. That was my the gentleman she had married, Reverend Porter, me, my brother, my sister at that time. I don't think my other two brothers were born. No, Bush was born, I think. All of us got in common anyway. Went up to the lady's house. She walked into the lady's house. The lady named Mary. She said, Mary, how you doing? I'm doing good, my friend. She said, I understand we got a child coming. Mary said, yes, ma'am. I said, but Francis, I told you, son, you know, don't worry about it. You know, I told my daughter to keep your dress tail down. This thing gonna happen, but don't worry about it. I don't have any money for no wedding. Mama said, don't worry about it, Mary. I'm paying for the wedding. There's gonna be a wedding. He gonna get married. I'll come back in a week and take her get her dress. She told you we were gonna work. We were gonna work. That's the way she was, man. She said it. That's the way it's gonna be, man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what was it like those first couple of weeks being, I guess, one of two black students at Auburn High School?
Well, where Auburn High School was set up at that time, you know what it is? Not a junior high now, but what they call it, the one on Sanford.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it now.
You're talking about the one like right there at Sanford where Moore's Mill comes in?
I'm talking the one at Sanford, up going back towards town, like they done added on to it a lot.
Are you talking about like up at Dean?
Dean.
The one that runs by the Kroger. You go by, if you keep going, you go by the Kroger.
I'm talking about the old one, the one that's it's Sanford, but it's got a one-way street that comes out in front of it.
Yeah. Okay, the one right it's next to a cemetery. Is that the one we're talking about?
I don't know.
It's like 2 blocks off from college.
Yeah, 2 blocks off from college. You pad the service station down there and go up the hill.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
That was the high school.
Yeah, Moore's Mill Road runs in just, I guess, another 100 yards.
Yeah, right down below.
Road. Yeah.
Turn to the right. Yeah. That was the high school then.
Okay, yeah.
That's the one I went. And I think the 12th grade was a different floor, and the rest of the class was down on the other different floor. Only thing I went upstairs for, I think, was for geometry. But so going to college, she was in 12th grade. I don't think I even saw her when I was there because of our class schedule. She was in 12th grade. I was in 11th grade. I must say 10th grade. So when I went over, I didn't have too much problem with anybody my first year over there. I think, I don't know whether parents had talked to their kids or whatever, but I didn't have much problem with the first year I went over there. It was isolation, like I put it like that. Nobody's talked to me. I make that joke all the time about going down the hall like Moses parting the Red Sea. They see me coming, the kids go to this side of the wall, that side of the wall, and I had the whole hall to myself. I remember we used to go to assembly. I'll be sitting here, be nobody around me for 4 or 5 rows. You know, I was kind of like isolation. Like classrooms, I had no teacher that tried to mistreat me or anything. The teacher was very respectful. Spoke to me like I was another student. I remember Mr. Biggest class, and he taught geometry. That's why I should get all the spitballs at. I used to sit up front, they throw spitball and things like that. But I had no name calling the first year I was over there. I think that when things really changed was when more students came over. The first year was just me and her. She was 12, I was 11. And then the next year, the 11th grade year, more kids came over. And I think at that point, we saw a little name calling. We even had a couple of fights that broke out. But before that, when I was there, just on my own, it wasn't anything like that. I even tried out for football, man. Spring football, and I was treated real well. Coach, I almost called his name. He started. Coach Hopper Cynthia Hopper was the coach. I had no animosity from any of them. They let me try out, and I went into the locker room, changed clothes, everybody. So, but like I said, the biggest thing happened when more kids came over. You'd have fights break out in the PE room, changing clothes and things like that. So my brother got into a couple of them, but it was more when more kids came. But when I was there by myself, nobody attempted to abuse me or even talk ugly to me, you know.
And then none of the administrators, and you said none of the teachers, but none of the administrators, none of them had any problems with you?
No.
Tried to...
And then we had one problem. That was when, like I said, more kids came over. Me and my brother, so I don't know how we got at the principal office. Something had to come over there and get us or something. I forgot what that was about. But no, it wasn't no, none of the teachers mistreated us. I said me, I'm talking about my time now. Nobody mistreated me. Nobody was ugly to me. Nobody to, you know, I talk about this sometimes. I try to be fair, but I think at the beginning, Auburn tried its best to make it as smooth transition as possible. I think that was their goal. They tried their best. And, you know, other cities was having all these marches out in front of the school, and folk out there with signs, with the N-word, go home and all that. And I think they tried their best to avoid that. And to a certain extent, they did. I don't ever remember that kids came over. Like I said, when more kids came over, then things get to be a little rambunctious, and then a little name got called and started. But when I was there by myself, no, I can't say that happened.
And you didn't feel any sort of tension in town? You didn't get any pushback from... I mean, there are places where, you know, that first black student that showed up at a school, family would get things said to them. The city would, you know, the townspeople would push back, you know, against them personally, not necessarily at the school. Y'all didn't experience any of that?
No, I did when I went, and my mother was I ain't gonna say a combative woman, but my mother was one of them that went toe to toe with you. I don't think that'd been too wise to say something to her. I don't think so. No, I don't think that would have worked too well. And she raised us like that, though. She told us don't start no fight. When a fight break out, you better finish it. Cause you come home, I'm gonna give you another whipping for not winning the fight. So she was like that, you know. I don't think that would have worked too well with her. So
did she give you any advice before that first day when you went to Auburn High School?
Other than just be respectful, you know, don't start no fight, don't pick at nobody and things like that. Like she would do if I was going to the black school. I mean, you know, you represent the family. You know, don't be doing anything to disrespect us and stuff like that. She told us things like that. Yeah.
Now, was your mother's husband was pastor?
My mother married him when we was
yeah,
he was a pastor.
So was he involved in any way with the NAACP, the SCLC? Was he involved?
I don't remember him being involved. He moved here from Birmingham. He came down to do a revival. That's what she met him at. But I don't remember him being involved in it. Now he could have been. He could have went with her to the meeting, but I don't remember it.
Now your mother was Was she involved with
Mother
it?
was involved in NAACP.
Okay.
Yeah, the other branch of it, yeah. Yeah.
Now, was that the branch in Opelika or the branch here in
Auburn.
Ridley County or in Auburn?
Auburn.
Okay, so they started at about the same. The branch in Opelika and the branch in Auburn started about the
I
same
can't
time.
answer that question for you because I was young then. I wasn't thinking about NAACP. I was thinking about girls and good times. So I don't remember that. All I remember is that I was told I was going to I was going to school over there, and I remember discussion about it, having meetings and stuff. And I was going to school, but I don't remember what branch it was, whether it was Auburn or whether it was Lee County. I don't remember that. All I remember was when I went to the military and came back and got married. We had friends that we grew up that we called that was involved in the civil rights movement, and we were talking a lot. And so then they had started Auburn chapter, and they asked me to be president of that chapter. But I can't remember what year it was. I know it was after I got married. I got married in '72, so somewhere between '72 and '75, somewhere in there, I was president of the Auburn NAACP. We had in there. I can't call the girl name. Wanda.
Hey, it's fine.
Okay. It may come up a minute. It may come back to a minute.
I should have asked this. You probably said it, and I didn't write it down. What was your mother's name?
Her mother's name was Frances Lee Ogletree, and she got married with Francis Porter. Her maiden name is Frances Lee Ogletree, and she married Reverend E.D. Porter. I think they got married around about 14 or 15, somewhere in there.
Okay. And so, and again, I'm looking over my notes and I'm going back and filling some stuff in. You went to the high school in 10th grade, so you would have been about 14. So that would have been about 1965.
I went in. You might be right, because I'll get the dates mixed up with my wife. I thought I went that summer. Might have been that summer of '65 or '60. I thought it was '66. I could be wrong, but I went that summer. And another reason I ended up going that year to the high school, the integrated school, was I had failed at a course in the segregated school of Alabama history. So I could stay on track to keep it in the grade. I had to go to summer school, and now I guess when they was just starting the integrated thing, and so I went to Auburn High School and took biology. Guy ended up, Mr. Douglas was the teacher. He ended up being the principal a few years later. James Douglas was the teacher. I took biology that summer and made a B and passed it. That what prompted Mama to want me to go to school that year, because I did so well in that biology that summer. And she hit the board was that he'd done so well over here, then he'd done over there. I wanted him over here, so that's another reason I ended up going. But yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, that's that would push her to send me over there. Was I did well in biology that summer, so I took biology. So I was thinking the summer of '66, school year started '66 to '67. '67 would have been my 11th grade year. '68 would have been my 12th grade year. That's right, because I had to repeat it. That's right. I went in '66.
Okay.
I ended up in '69 because I had to repeat the 11th grade because I didn't do nothing in 11th grade. I'll be honest. I look back on history now. I don't know why I did that. I didn't do nothing. I sit in the classroom, wouldn't take no notes. I don't know what was going on with me in 11th grade. I don't know if I was going through a teenage cycle or what.
I mean, besides being a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And that's excuse enough.
I wasn't doing nothing, man. And so I had to repeat that grade. That's why I ended up coming out in 1969. I supposed to came out in '68.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just sort of as an aside, did you ever get to talk to any of the students at Auburn High School and tell them that, hey, I would, me and this young lady integrated this high school back in 1966. We were the first black students. You ever been asked by the administration to come over and
Yeah, I was last year. Was it last year? Last year, Black History. I spoke over there to the Ogletree. Is it Ogletree? Yeah, Ogletree Elementary.
Yeah.
The guy was doing Black History program over there.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the kids over there. Mm-hmm.
How did they
about this? Oh, they took it. They had 100 questions they asked me, man. They bombarded me, man.
And these were elementary schools.
Over elementary school, a guy, he's a music teacher over there. I forget his name. Somebody told him about me, he asked me to come over and speak to him. I went over and spoke to him, and I think I had did we have a picture of that somewhere? I think we did. Anyway, yeah, them little kids bombarded me with questions, man. They were worse than you were. What was it like? What is it? They were asking them, man. But yeah, and then I had the superintendent at the Rotary Club with my wife. She spoke over there. And she told him on Rotary Club, I got one of our famous alumni here from Auburn High School, Mr. Marvin Lewis, the first one to integrate Auburn High School. So she mentioned that over there. So I've had a few, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, that was just out of curiosity, because I sometimes wonder that, we have people that literally made history sit, amongst us, and we don't take advantage of giving them a chance to tell their stories to young people, so we realize.
And Dr. Scaife over there, she's a good friend of our family. Her husband was a member of our church for a long time, Deanna Scaife. She had a program over there, and she invited us back over there to talk about the integration of school, and they recorded it. I forgot what the class was. One of her class she was doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got out of high school.
Yeah.
Did you go pretty much straight into the Air Force?
I went straight in the military because, just like I just told you, I had to repeat that class.
Yeah.
So I started graduating in '68. I've been on track. I graduated in '69. So I guess the fact that I now was older, the military came looking for me. So in January of 1969, January 1969, I got a letter from the draft board to report to Montgomery to be drafted. So I go to Montgomery and take my tests and physical and all that, and I come back home and they, what was it to make you drafted? A or B, whatever the draft status was, I was that. And so they wrote me a letter in February, told me to report immediately to the Army. I'm still in high school. The mother, she fired back a letter off to him, told me I was still in high school. So they either they talked on the phone or they called or something, asked them when was I supposed to graduate. And I think back then it was July the 3rd, June the 3rd. June the 3rd, they told me to report June the 4th. And so we got to talking about it, me and Mom. I said, well, I'm going to, Vietnam War was hot then. I said, I'm going to the military. I need to try to get me some education while I'm in there, Mom. I done kind of messed up in high school and didn't keep my ducks in a row and all that. So she agreed with me. We went over to Columbus, and that's where the recruit station was. There wasn't one over here. Mm-hmm. Went to Columbus, and I wanted to get in the Navy. My idea was, because I was mechanically inclined, I was going to work on jet engines and do my bid in the Navy, get out, go to work at Atlanta and work. That's my plan. So I go to the Navy guy. They give you all them tests where your attitude is and all that. And the guy come back and say, yeah, you got mechanical attitude. I think we can work with you. So they put me on a delayed enlistment where you join now and you come when you get out of high school. And we come back home thinking everything good, ready to go. About May, I think it was. Yeah, a month before June, May. We get a letter in the mail from the Navy, so they won't be able to take me. My birth certificate and my name don't match. And what happened was when I was born, my mother was a single mother. She wasn't married. She named me after her. She named me Eugene Ogletree. But then over a period of time, the guy that's supposed to be my father, I found out now through DNA that ain't the case. The guy that's supposed to be my father, she changed my name to his name, Morris, and put Eugene in. His name was Morris Lewis. She put Eugene in, Morris Eugene Lewis. And that's the name I've been going by since I was, knee-high to the duck. So here I was now. They saying, they couldn't take me. Man, I said, oh man, I got to go to the Army. Man, we was all upset. So we went back there to talk to the guy, asked the guy how we resolve it. I said, can we go get the birth certificate straightened out? He said, well, you ain't got enough time to do all that. He said, they're going to want you in June. He said, all that I suggest to you, go next door to the Air Force, because they might can take you. So I go next to that guy at the Air Force and say, hey, tell him my situation. He said, well, let me get your paperwork for the Navy, see what you got. He gets it, looks at it, and says, yeah, we can use you, man. Yeah, we'll take you. So signed me up for the Air Force, again on delayed enlistment. This is May. Signed me up, I'm supposed to report sometime in June. And he signed me up. And He said, now the Army may ask for you back. They're trying to get you. He said, well, we'll take it and see what happens. They didn't ask for me back. It was, I guess, as long as I was in a branch in the military, yeah, they were good with it. So I ended up in the Air Force, man. I went out, left on June, wasn't the 3rd, I give up like June 13, 14, somewhere in there. No, matter of fact, no, it was sometime in June. Downtown, you probably, I don't know, you know where, but BB&T Bank is?
Yeah.
There was a little bus stop there. Street came in, make a turn, there was a bus stop right there. And then next to it, up the street, there was the old Chevrolet dealer. Chevrolet used to be there. They gone now. They moved out on the old block of Auburn Road, but it was right there. With a little bus station right there. I caught the bus right there. I got what they enjoy, get my DDD farm, look at it. But I caught the bus right there and left. It took me to Atlanta and got on a plane in Atlanta with a bunch of other guys. Flew us out to San Antonio, Texas. Mm-hmm.
And that was June of '69?
June '69. Mm-hmm.
So you went to Texas. You were there for basic training, so you probably didn't see a whole lot of San Antonio.
No,
Yeah.
They I remember after about close to the last week of recruiting, they gave us a what they call a leave.
Yeah.
To go downtown, but I didn't take it. I was ready to move on to my next step. I had these. Why I get on, but I had these things sometime in life where I'm done with this. Let's move on. So I done put in the basic training. I was tired of that, so let's move on to the next step.
Where'd you go next?
I left there and went to Fort Belvoir, Virginia. The Army did not have, the Air Force did not have a heavy equipment, what they call a heavy equipment repairman school. The Army did. So they sent us, it was 5 of us from the Air Force, and I was the ranking guy, because I was been in longer than the other guys had been. They sent us to Fort Belvoir, Virginia for training. And we was there from August. No, yeah, we was there from August. No, I ain't right. We was there from September. October, September till November. So I remember I came home for 30 days if I went to Vietnam, yeah. Mm-hmm. We took special training up there to work on tractors, compressors, earth movers, dump trucks, generators, remote pumps, all kind of stuff. They had a place where they called the Hill. At Fort Belvoir, called the Hill. They had all this equipment up there. And you go up there and run that stuff, you had to have earpieces on. I mean, it was so loud, they called the Hill, and play with that stuff and play with it. And then they had, for graduation, they had a great big building. I'll never forget this, with trucks and tractors and stuff in it. It was all new stuff, though. I mean, sitting up in there. That was your exam. You didn't know what you were going to draw, but your exam was to figure out what's wrong with it. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget a lesson they taught us. They said, always think of the simple things first. Don't think of the hard problem first. Look at the simple thing. Like, for instance, if a tail light wasn't working. Don't feel like you got broken wire. He said, could be a blowed out bulb.
Yeah.
So I remember that we know what we're going to draw. I forgot what I drew. I think it was something to do with lights, I believe, because I remember that. But anyway, that was our test, our last test before we got out. And one of the things I learned, I'll never forget, I learned about don't be volunteering for anything while you're in the military. A guy, I had heard that before, but I saw it for myself. About midway through the school, but the Army guy come in and told the other Army guy, I said, look, excuse me, we got a new piece of equipment, the truck with a folding bridge on the back of it. We're going to need special technicians to work on that truck. Need somebody to volunteer to stay here and learn all about this vehicle. And he said, it's only going to be in Europe, so that means, where you'll be in Europe, you'll be in Germany or something like that. About 8 guys volunteered. And we got down to the end of the course, done our little test, and everybody getting their certificate and get ready to be assigned. And before the Air Force guy came in, the Army guy came in and said, well, all you guys that volunteered to work on the new piece of equipment we got, that program been canceled. All of y'all going to Vietnam.
Yeah, my father was an old infantry company first sergeant. The last thing he told me before I left for basic training, he said, don't volunteer for nothing. Don't try to stick out.
That's right.
He said, just blend in and stay in the back. He said,
Yeah.
get through basic training and then you can do whatever you want. But
That's
for the
right.
next 8 weeks,
Yeah.
just be quiet.
That's it. That's it.
So you mentioned this a little bit earlier. I guess, was this the first time you'd ever traveled outside of Alabama? I mean, maybe to Atlanta, but outside the region.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you mentioned...
I had been the guy, Mark Lewis in New Orleans, probably my father. I had been in New Orleans several times.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been. We went down there when I was a little boy. They used to put us on the train. I tell folks all the time about this. Mother used to put us on the train at the Auburn Depot. Tell the conductor, these two boys are going to New Orleans. You watch over them. And the train would go from Auburn to Montgomery. And then in Montgomery, we had to swap trains. They had that one to come out of they used to call it the city of New Orleans.
Yep.
Go around New Orleans. So we had to swap. And the guy would take us off that train and walk us over to the other train and tell that conductor, these two boys are going to New Orleans, watch over them. And they watch over us as we go to New Orleans till our father come to the station and get us. I tell folks all night, Tom, you can't do that today because child, you never see the child again. But that's what they do. That's how they treat children back in the day. Nobody bothered children back in the day, man. Not like these pedophiles and stuff today. They didn't do that. You know. But anyway, yeah, I traveled outside this area. I went to New Orleans. We used to love going down there because it was something different, especially in the summertime. And we was from Alabama. The girls saw us as different, so we used to love going down there, man. But I never forget a girl told me one time. I said, I was from the country. That's what she said, you from the country? I said, no. I'm thinking about Auburn, Auburn, city. I said, no, I'm from Auburn, Alabama. We had a university. She said, no, you from the country? I said, no, I'm from Auburn, Alabama. Good side I said. She said, no, all of Alabama is country. That's what she told me.
So, you said that when you got to Fort Belvoir, you were in Fort Belvoir's in the Washington, D.C. area.
Right.
It's a big metropolitan area. I mean, at that time it was bigger than, Atlanta may have been bigger, but it would have been bigger than any other city in the South.
It was.
And you said you got shown more respect, you got treated differently. How did that impact you? How did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel like, that there's things outside of the norm that I've been raised in. I appreciate about it sometimes, all the bright lights, the different businesses, you wasn't looked at in strange ways and stuff like that. And I'll never forget it. I went down there one night and, things didn't close, man. I mean, businesses stayed, things stayed open. And I messed around and missed the bus to go back to the base. The bus stopped running a certain hour to go back to the base. I had to walk back, fun ride, and get back. I didn't get back to about an hour before Reveille. I'm standing there in my street clothes, responding to Reveille. Man, what are you doing, Lewis? I said I got caught outside. Didn't get back. Well, get upstairs and change your clothes. Yeah. But I remember that, man. It's that's always itch on my mind that back sitting in the bright lights, man. Just never seen nothing like that.
So then you went to Vietnam, and I'd like to talk to you about that, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. So we're going to skip forward to when you came back from Vietnam. Where'd you go to next?
I came back. I sent me to Great Falls, Montana.
That's different.
Yeah, that's where me and the military wheels came off at. I went to Great Falls, Montana, and I tell folk all the time. Now, I think this is what Uncle Sam, I call Uncle Sam, the military fail to understand, is that I came out of basic training and went to tech school. I left tech school, went to Vietnam. In Vietnam, all the rules were different because it's combat. You didn't shine no boots.
Yeah.
You didn't cut no hair. You have your beard. Regulations were relaxed. For a young man like me, just in the military, I think it's a norm for me now. Hey, it's cool, collect. We ain't stressing and stuff like that. Cause we in the combat zone, we fight all that. So then I come back to Great Falls, Montana. Here we are. Shoes got to be spit shine. Uniform got to be creased, and your hair got to be cut a certain way, and all this. And I'm having issues with that. And so I got into a little situation where I don't know whether the officer or what happened. Some thing was said. So the base commander, I think he was Jones something. He came down to interview me on my job. He came in and told everybody else to leave the room. And we're sitting there like me, you sitting there, I'm talking. And he said, I understand you got some issues. And that's what he said to me. I said, issues? I said, well, what are you talking about, sir? He said, well, first of all, he said, I'm sitting here with you now. He said, your shoes not polished and cut ain't cut right. Your hair is still too long. I said to him, I said, well, sir, I tell you what, I ain't polished no shoes, I ain't cutting no hair. That's it. Just like that. He looked at me and he said, tell you what, Aaron, he said, I'll get back with you. He got up, he left. Next thing I know, my commander, unit commander called me in and said, Lewis, I got an order from upstairs that you need to go see the base psychiatrist. I said, okay. So I go see the psychiatrist and we started talking about, situation. I told him, I said, look, I know I got issues. I said, because I get angry a lot. We go out to the gym playing ball and somebody hit me or something, I get into a fight. And one thing or another, so he goes through all these, whatever the doctors do, and I think I saw him about 2 months, I believe. I think it was 2 months. So our final session we goes in, he gave us a pill to take and all that stuff. Our final session we goes in, he said to me, he said, Morris, he said, I think what I'm going to do is recommend they discharge you. I said, discharge me? He said, yeah. He said, I don't think you're going to work out for the military. He said, I think your time you spend in Vietnam has indoctrinated you to a different type of service. He said, you're not going to make it. He said, I'm going to recommend discharge you. You got any issue with that? I said, oh no. Discharge me. I said, give me the paper. Let me go. Discharge me. So then I went back to my duty station and I was working. I had a guy, I'll never forget him, named Sergeant Coleman, the black guy. Real nice guy. He came in and he told the guy, I said, I need to talk to Lewis alone. Y'all go outside, do whatever you got to do. We said, it's like me and you. He said, they want to put you out the military, sir, Lewis. He said, if you want to stay in, he said, I'm going to fight for you so you can stay in. He said, I think you make a good soldier. I said, no, Sergeant, don't fight for me. Give me the papers. I'm done with this. This ain't for me. I'm going home. Nah, he said, okay. That's what you want? He said, I'll let it go through. And so that's what I said. On December the 22nd, Christmas Day, December 23rd, I got my discharge. Put all my stuff in my car in Montana and drove home.
And what year was that?
That was 1971.
And you got an honorable discharge?
Honorable discharge.
Did you think that your race played any component in any of that?
Probably did, because we had a riot up there at that base. Not a riot, but a protest at that base. That's why I ended up losing 30 days of my time, because what they did was they punished everybody who went near it. And what happened to me was, I wasn't near it. I heard about it. It was going on. I went out there and looked, to see. And they took pictures of everybody out there. If you was out there, they punished you. So I got 30 days in the brig for just being out there. So yeah, I think race played a part in all that. And in Vietnam, it has some place sometimes reflected to what your duty assignment was. Some of that, but I was at Pleiku Air Force Base in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Our base was a lot better than Army bases. We had payrolls, the whole 9 yards, things like that, nice barracks. And I had a good friend. I've been trying to find him, Doug Critcher. Me and him were together. I had a picture of him. I think it's at my office. him and another guy I met. He was out of Michigan, I believe. We became good friends, and all three of us ended up at the Vietnam assignment. It was 5 assignments. There were 5 of us at the Army base, 5 Air Force guys at Fort Belvoir. When they came in with the assignment, it was 3 to Vietnam and 2 to Alaska. And I wasn't going no Alaska. That wouldn't happen. So I prayed to God, said I go to Vietnam. If God wants me to come back home, I'll come back home. And so my other 2 friends said, we're going too. So all 3 of us went to Vietnam. 2 of us stayed at played crew together. Me and Doug was there until they shipped Doug to another base my last 2 months there, I believe. I've been trying to figure out how to get in touch with him. Doug Christian was his name. He was out of North Carolina. Now we had bag up when we left Fort Belvoir to go home. My parents had come up there for graduation. Doug's parents didn't come, so we got ready to leave. We said, Doug, we can take you home. You ain't got to catch no bus now. We got to go back to Alabama. So Doug rode with us from Fort Belvoir to his home in North Carolina, and we got there. His dad come to the door and said, "Ain't no niggas coming in here." And his mother said, "I've got it, Doug, daddy's name." She told him, "Whatever, do whatever you need to leave, you leave." So his dad literally left the house that night. He said, I ain't had no niggas in my house. He left the house that night. So we went in, and his mother was real nice, and he introduced me to him, said we were good friends and all that. So we left Doug at home, and we came on home, and I spent my 30 days. He said we met up again at Fort Lewis. Everybody flying out at Fort Lewis at that time, go to Vietnam. We met up again at Fort Lewis and went to Vietnam together, got off at Cameron Bay, and flew us up to our duty station. Mm-hmm.
So you get out of the Air Force, and you come back to Auburn.
I got the racism then.
In Auburn?
Mm-hmm. Trying to get a job. Mm-hmm.
What kind of jobs were you trying to get?
I was trying to get a mechanic job that I've been doing. Mm-hmm.
And none of the auto dealerships? Nobody would hire you?
Not a black mechanic then. I went to Chevrolet, Ford. I remember the guy at Ford. I don't know if he done passed or not, but he ended up having Plaza. You know where Plaza Body Shop at? Mm-hmm. The guy used to own Plaza Body Shop was service manager at Fuller. It wasn't Fuller, but it was Tiger Motor Company then. And I went down, man, and interviewed with him extensively. He asked me all the stuff could I do. Grind valves, tune engines. I mean, he went through our whole 9 yards. All my answer was yes. I had paperwork from the military where I had been. You know, another thing good about the Air Force was that they trained you while you were serving. Mm-hmm. We had mechanic class that we took at our duty station. Well, it said we had worked today at duty station, Air Force Base, and we were working on a truck together. All right, 2 hours of that day, they would take you and put you in a class and let you study, and then they give you an exam on it. So you know, I was moving along in the mechanic field while I was in the military, learning. That was even happening in Vietnam, and learning. I had some of my pictures up there. But anyway, I got out and went to the Ford dealer. He asked me all these questions. All the answers were yes. He told me, he said, well, I ain't got no opening right now. You got no opening right now? Why are you asking me all these questions if you got no opening, man? So then we left. I went to, I think it was Chevrolet dealer with Dodge. Then they didn't even talk to him. They just told him they didn't have nobody. So I ended up, I came home and told Mom couldn't get no kind of job I wanted. So I ended up getting a little menial job here. You remember, I don't know if you remember, but Diversified Products.
Oh yeah, Bob James's company.
Right,
yeah.
Well, there was another little company across town out there where Southern Union, on the corner where Southern Union had, it was a building there before Southern Union bought their property. There was a little building right there. The guy made the seats for the, he made the seats for the bicycle, just the seats.
Yeah.
I got a job there. Working, I had to go to work at 5 in the morning, got off at 3. You talking about something I hated, but I needed a job. And all I did was, had a little assembly line, unzip a little case, put in a little pellets is gonna melt, zip it back up, send out the line. So I did all day long. I was so bold and frustrated. I hated that job. I hated to get up, but I had enough. So finally, Georgia was doing better than Alabama for veterans. They had what they call a manpower program, and if you was a Vietnam vet, you were guaranteed to get a job. So I went over to Georgia for the manpower program, and I went over there, and I'm sitting there in the room waiting to be interviewed. It was the elder black lady sitting right in front of me with another young man. This elder black lady turned around and looked at me, and this is how she said to me. She said, "Boy, what you here for?" I said, "I'm trying to get a mechanic job, man." "A mechanic job? That what you here for?" I said, "Yeah, man." She said, "Read that, boy." She handed me a newspaper. "Read that. What that said?" I said, "Looking for a mechanic. That's your job. Get up and leave. Don't stay here. Get up and go down there. That's your job. Get up and leave. Go down there." I got up and left. I went down there with Tennyson International Deal. Tennyson International. Went down there, walked in and spoke to the man. I spoke to the man 10 minutes. He gave me the job, just like she said.
And that was over in Columbus?
In Columbus, Georgia.
Now, did you stay here in Auburn and commute?
I commuted. I hadn't got married yet. We was talking about marriage, so I commuted. I worked down there, I think, 6 months or better. And another dealership over there called Quality GMC. I went to work for them. They paid better, and I thought I could improve my skill level better. Cause all they had me doing at International was changing oil and inspecting new trucks, stuff like that. So I thought I could enhance my skill better. So I went to work up there. And while I was working up there, me and my wife decided to get married. And then I ran into racism on Auburn's side when we tried to get married, because I was dealing with these realtors trying to find us an apartment and all that. And I never forget, Northcutt and them had a trailer park. You know, on Opelika Road now where they built that Dollar General at, and then they got all them new apartments over there called Midtown. Going up Auburn Opelika Road.
Yeah, is that over there by the bowling alley?
Oh, past the bowling alley, going up.
Oh, where they built that new whole new thing on the
Midtown.
right side of the road, across from Country's Barbecue.
Right back from that, you see a building there called a Dollar General. I think is it Dollar General or one of them.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Right there was a trailer park. Right there was a trailer park, and I went to Northcutt and signed a lease to get a trailer there. Took my wife over, there to look at it and whatever, and we were gonna move in now. And so I went back to work over Columbus. Came back next day, and somebody knocked the air conditioner out the window and wrote on the building. He didn't want us over there, so I went back to Northcutt, tried to get my money back. He told me he wasn't give me a damn thing back. He said, "You just lost that. I'm not giving you nothing back." But he let me out the lease, but we give my money back. So then I went back to work. And my wife was staying with my mother, and I said, we'll figure out something. And I was over in Columbus coming home one day, and there's a place over there called Mobile Home. Get the name of the mobile home, like car name in a minute. But they was out of Texas. They had a plan called, they put you in a home, and your first 3 or 4 months rent would be your down payment, and then they set you up on regular payments. And I stopped there and filled out an application on that. I got off at 5 o'clock over in Georgia, which was 4 o'clock over here. And I stopped there at 5:15, filled out an application with the guy. Came back to work the next morning at the dealership over there, and the guy called me and told me I was approved. So we got a trailer and we moved to Lynchburg, down what they call Willis Road. And that's where we lived for about a year and a half, something like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's when I ran this little racism and stuff in Alabama. Mm-hmm.
So, when did you join the NAACP?
I'm thinking, see, we got married in 72. So that's when we got married. So it had to be sometime in 73, 74, somewhere in there.
Okay. Now, different time, I understand this, but if you go back and look at a lot of the local organizers for the NAACP back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Her name was Barbara Pierce. That's her name. Barbara Pierce. Who Barbara Pierce talked me into it. Barbara Pierce.
Barbara Pierce?
Barbara Pitts.
Pitts.
Mm-hmm. she was very, she was strong in the civil rights movement. She used to go to Selma, and she was strong in it. She was motivating force behind my generation, our age, things like that. She kept up with things that wasn't right, and she'd tell us when we go protest or however we could do it, or go out to city council. And yes, the Barbara Pitt.
Is she still with us?
She's still living, but she lives at a home up in Georgia,
okay,
with one of her sisters in Georgia.
Now, but I mean, what was his name? Oliver Brown, who brought the Brown v. Board of Education case. He was a World War II veteran. Medgar Evans was a World War II veteran. You know, Jackie Robinson was a World War II veteran. A lot of those people who manned the civil rights movement back when you were in high school, back in middle school, all came out of service in World War II. And a lot of them said that their service was being devalued because they came back to a country that didn't have the freedoms they were supposedly fighting for. Did that impact your decision to join the NAACP? Did your service in Vietnam impact your decision to join the NAACP at all?
I won't blame it all on that. More my motivation was I grew up in Auburn. You know, I like to use that term sometimes. I know where all the bones buried. I grew up in Auburn, you know, so I knew that was, you know, people tried to presage and cover it up. I knew there was some underlying currents, some racism and stuff like that. And so I wanted to try to help, you know, change them. And I'll tell you a story now. One of our biggest issues was I wasn't in NAACP. I was in the Auburn improvement side. I think it was I was in. I was president. I was vice president of that one for many years. But we was responsible for getting to Martin Luther King Park on West Glen because Jan Dempsey was mayor then.
I remember.
And people don't give us credit for this. We were responsible for getting Auburn and University to accept Martin Luther King holiday too. We fought with her back and forth with that because she was determined that the city of Auburn was not going to honor the Martin Luther King Day. And the reason she was fighting that, we come to find out, well, she was holding in line for Auburn University because the city of Auburn didn't celebrate. Auburn University had a reason to celebrate. But we fought with her to get the Martin Luther King Park done because she kept telling us they didn't have the funds, the money. We kept telling them, no, that's not true. You got the funds, the money, you can do it. So we went back and forth with them. I remember that for many years about that till we got that park built down there. And then we dealt with her about that Martin Luther King holiday. So that I think I was more effective or more involved in Auburn Improvement. I think of Auburn Improvement Society, Auburn Improvement Organization. I think I'm leaving something out of it. But I was more involved in that for getting some change done than I think that I can remember in the NAACP. I don't remember us doing a lot of work in the NAACP. I know when we had the issue about that sidewalk, but I don't think I was in the NAACP then. You know, I had that sidewalk going down Donahue Drive. My home, where I grew up, is on Phillip Street. It's right off Donahue Drive. You stand out of your yard and you just look right down into the street. Matter of fact, it's not even a football field from our yard to the corner. But when they put that sidewalk down there, they had it going up, down, up. I don't know if you remember that. You might not have been here then. And
I never got out.
So Barbara Pierce and us, we fought to get that sidewalk straightened out. They came in and they re-leveled it and put a level sidewalk in. They had a roller coaster down there when they first put it in. And that was kind of like, you know, a slight on us as black people. You don't deserve nothing better. But we fought that, to get that change. But our biggest battle that in getting out the Martin Luther King Park and Martin Luther King birthday. Yeah.
Now, was that when you were in the Auburn Improvement Society, or were you in NAACP?
No, I think I done that when I was in Auburn Improvement Society.
And you were the vice president there?
Right. Jackson, what did Jackson play his name? Jimmy Jackson, not Jimmy Jackson, but his dad was president. Arthur White was in there with us. I can't remember some more people. But yeah, we worked hard on that.
So did
I remember Jan Fuller told me, he said that when we were doing that, they were building the Harris Park over there off of that street that run down behind the old Auburn High School. I forgot that. They were building a park down there for Baylor Harris Park or something like that at the time we was getting this park done. And I remember she told me when we was meeting with her, I said, if y'all gave some land, we could build a park. And I remember telling her, I said, you hadn't stole the land from all our black people, we have land to give you to build a park. Yeah, I told her, no.
how did she react to that?
And she just looked, probably turned red, that pillow beside you, like, man, I sure went right back at her. Y'all had stole from us and took the land from us and allowed us not to have no land. We have some land to give you to build a park. Mm-hmm.
So, and I bet the city of Auburn bought, you talked about that park they were building there behind the high school. I bet they paid for that land, but they expected you to give them land to build a park in your neighborhood.
Right, so we could give some land. Mm-hmm. No. At the same time, the thing I kept telling, matter of fact, we came to the realization though when we were arguing about Martin King Park. At the same time, how they didn't have no money to build Martin King Park, they were building that big baseball park down there off 29. Off of 29, off the interstate.
Yeah.
They were building that at the same time. They told us they didn't have no money to build Martin King Park. I told them that's a lie. You can build it. You don't want to do it. We finally got it done. Yeah. Now, check this out. See, now when we trying to build a Martin King Park, they didn't want to put a whole lot of stuff out there. They didn't want to put this out there. And matter of fact, I think I had to go out and look. It might be on the side of that water cooler. I tell you we put the water cooler in so that we could show that we were trying to do something to get the park. But now you're going to look at the park. They done put a whole bunch of stuff in it. And my take on it, because a lot of the white kids from the university now is living all around there. When it was just for places got built out there, the black people and you were dragging, couldn't put this and that. Now, man, got a thing with them skating things in there, a whole lot of stuff in it now.
Yeah, I can. My perception was when I was here as a student in from 80 to 83, and then I came back and got out of the Army and came back for graduate school in the mid 80s. A couple of years later, was that if the university wanted something, City of Auburn would do it.
Right.
If the people of Auburn wanted something, you had to take a crowbar and pry anything out of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Yeah.
And I understand that because the university is the single biggest employer in Lee County,
mm-hmm.
and I get that to an extent. But I never understood why, and I don't know that the university. And again, I didn't know President Ghosh. I didn't know President Philpott, but his workers lived in Auburn. I mean,
mm-hmm.
the people who ran that university lived in the city of Auburn.
Right.
But if they went down there as individuals, they weren't going to get anything out of the city.
Mm-mm.
But if he went over there as President Philpott, he'd pretty much get whatever he wanted. So I always saw that disparity myself. And again, I was a dumb student the first time, and I was a dumb graduate student the second time. So now coming back, I think city has grown a bit, and city's looking out for its own best interest now.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all that development up and down College.
Right.
I mean, that's the city looking out for itself.
Yeah.
You're not going to build I'd look when we bought our house here. We've been here about a year and a half, and we live in Opelika, but we looked at Auburn. Students aren't buying them $1.2 million apartments downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That's not for students. That's the city looking out for the city.
Hello? Hello? Uh-huh. I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm in a meeting right now. Let me call you back. All right.
So, when did you, did the Auburn Improvement Society, did that just become part of the NAACP? Did you transition between the two? How did you wind up in the NAACP?
Well, Auburn Improvement Society was after the NAACP.
Oh, it was?
It was after.
So you joined the NAACP. And so...
Well, we, my wife always said, we our parents told us about the NAACP, so we was always members when we, they had a child membership. So we was always members, even though we didn't know it, we was members. Now my only concern right now is with you is I can't remember whether it was Auburn or whether it was Lee County, but we was always in it. Now the one that I became president of, I know it was Auburn. I think Barbara Pitts and some more either broke away or wanted their own. So I think that's how I ended up being president of it. She knew me, others knew me. They knew I was the type of person that was staying up for things. So I think that's how I ended up being president. But now, in fairness, I think at that time, we got married in 72. So that was between 73 or 74. I was working either at the Ford dealer or the Chevrolet dealer, one of them.
Here in Auburn?
In Opelika.
Okay.
I got hired at the Ford dealership. We called them Miss Fuller. They ran an ad. I was working in Columbus, and I was driving there every day. I left here at 4 o'clock in the morning because they're an hour ahead. And when I got my pay on Friday, by the time I paid for my gas and all that, I might have brought home $60. And I had a young wife, and we were living, so it just wasn't enough money with the travel. So anyway, they ran an ad in the paper that Sunday they needed a mechanic at the Ford dealership. So I called in sick. And I went up to the Ford dealership. And I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was a yellow gentleman. He was the shop foreman, the service manager took the weekend off that Monday. And I went in, filled out the application, guy saw what I could do, and he was standing there vacillating about whether to hire me or not. And Miss Fuller, never forget it, she came out to the snack machine, get something out of the snack machine. He turned to her and said, Miss Fuller, he said, I got a fella here applying for this truck mechanic job, and everything looks good, but I don't know whether to hire him or not. And she said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, he a colored fella. She went livid. She said, I don't give a damn if he's purple, green, whatever damn color he is. If he fit what you need, you hire that man. He turned around to me, he said, when can you start? I said, I'll be here tomorrow. I went to work that Tuesday, and a guy named Bill Price was the service manager. He came back to work. That man didn't speak to me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He never spoke to me. Anything he had me do, he'd come out and hand it to me and walk off. So that Friday, he came to pay me. He says to me, he said, Morris, I want to apologize to you. He said that I went on a 3-day weekend, left my shop for him here to watch things for me. He got drunk on me, and I felt like he had hired the wrong man. He said, I've been watching you work these days you've been here. You're an outstanding mechanic. He said, this ain't much money because the time went in on a Tuesday back then. They paid you on, a Wednesday, and they paid you on Friday. So I didn't have 2 days in.
Mm-hmm.
They paid on commission. You hear me? He said, it's a small check. He said, I hope you won't be discouraged and won't come back. I said, no, I'll be back Monday, man. And me and him became to be best of friends. His name Bill Price, out of Montgomery. Mm-hmm.
So, when you got out of the Air Force in 71, you came back to Auburn, and none of the car dealerships would even talk to you.
Mm-mm.
What do you think happened in those 2 years?
I don't know what happened in 2 years. I don't know whether it was a point at that point they just had to have somebody, and they couldn't get nobody. I don't know what happened in those 2 years. But well, first of all, I wasn't in Auburn. I was in Opelika. I don't know whether Opelika was looking at that need. They weren't concerned with the color of your skin. But in Auburn, I don't know whether they had need, but they didn't want to take the risk of being the first one to hire the first black mechanic or what. I don't know. But Fuller was Hugh Dean Fuller. In my opinion, he had the first black mechanic, truck mechanic in Lee County. That was me. He had the first black truck mechanic, and I come to find out from his wife later in years after Miss Fuller died. I met her somewhere at some function, and she told me, she said, Hugh Dean kept up with you. Everything you did, he kept up with. He was so proud of you. Because see what, after I left them, after Bill Price left, I left them and went up to Chevrolet dealer. The guy that had hired me at the Ford dealership told me, he said, whenever you get tired down here, he said, I'm going to be up at the Chevrolet dealer working up there. You come up there. So when Bill left, I left. went up to the Chevrolet dealership with Tatum Chevrolet then, and the guy that hired me was still up there. He took me to the front office, told them, said, "This is the best mechanic in Lee County. Y'all give him a job." They said, "Okay, if you said so, we'll give him a job." So they gave me a job. I went back there for a week. He come to me and said, "I'm going home and retire. They in good hands now." I said, "You doing what?" "I'm going home and retire. They in good hands. You'll take care of everything here." Well, so he goes home and retire. And I ended up working Chevrolet dealers as their mechanic. And when I started there, they had a stall inside the building to work on one truck. They had a lift rack for small truck. And out back of the building, they had a concrete pad where you worked on trucks. And that's where I worked at. For the first year I was there, I made so much money for them. The next year, they added on to the building a truck shop. They didn't go about leveling it off and all that. Just roofed it in, closed it in, now the truck shop. And we had a great relationship. They had a guy driving the record. That's how I got in the record business. They had a guy driving the record, but every time they had a record car, they couldn't ever get him. He's out fishing or doing something like that, on commission. So they knew I drove down the Ford place. The guy come and told me, "You drove down the Ford place?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you drive up here?" I said, "What you need?" "I need somebody to go get a truck." So I started driving the record. And I started making good money. I told the guy, I said, "Well, look, if I'm going to drive the truck, why don't I drive it all the time?" At that time, me and my wife were living in Auburn. We lived in apartments over there behind, what's that road over there? I'm trying to think of something you know. You know where, that run, what is it, realty company, big realty company, what their name? I'm in trouble with names all of a sudden. I hope I'm not getting old. What is it, Alzheimer's, whatever you call it?
Yeah, no, I can't remember anybody's name.
But it was Glenn, Dean Road. You know where Dean Road run? You know where the bowling alley is?
Yeah.
You turn right, go back on railroad track.
Yeah.
You go back on railroad track. As soon as you go across railroad track, you turn right again and go down there. I think it was Village Court, some apartments down there.
Okay.
We were living down there, and so they said, "Where you live in Auburn?" It's going, we don't know. Gonna live in Auburn, drive the record. It's gonna cost us gas. So I told him, I said, "I tell you what, I'll pay extra for my gas if I drive the record at night." So I drove the record in 24 hours a day. Worked as a truck mechanic. Racism kicked in then. I make more money than anybody in the place. The man came back there and told me, Mr. Hicks, who was part owner, he said, "Did you know, or do you know, you the highest paid man here next to me and Mr. Lett? They was the owner." I said, "No, I didn't know that. You make more than the salesman, you make more than anybody else." So they used to have a meeting every first of the month about what's going on in the surgery department. All the white guys now complaining, "He making too much money. He's making too much money. We need to change it. We need to change it." So they changed the hour rate to help them make more money. They brought mine down. The truck shop always was an hour ahead of the car shop. They brought the truck shop down and raised the car shop up so they can make more money. Went on for a month. Come back to the meeting. I didn't say that. The man said it. The service man said it. "What's your complaint now?" He said, we changed the rate. Y'all still can't keep up with him. He's still making more money than you got." He said, "I tell you what we do. We put the rate back where it was, put y'all rate back where y'all rate is." And so that's called fiction, man. And so, what happened was that Mr. Hicks went on vacation or something. And I guess they decided they come back and ask me to do something they knew I wasn't going to do, and I did not do it. So I left.
Is that when you started your own company?
A year later, I worked 2 places for 6 months. I worked at one, and he didn't have enough truck work for me. I didn't like to work on cars. Then another guy opened a new place, and I went to work for him. And me and him couldn't see eye to eye because what happened is, and I learned this in my business when I learned mine. In my opinion, you don't hire people who know more than you know, because then you feel like that they are trying to take over your business, which I wasn't. But he wasn't a good mechanic. He didn't know mechanics, and we got friction. So after that, I started going business myself. I had a couple of people a couple of customers. When I left the Chevrolet play, they went to the other business with me. When I left that business, they went to this business with me. So I figured, if I had my own place, they ought to give me a business. So I went and talked to about 3 of them. I figured 3 of them would be enough for me. I was thinking just about myself right then. And they said, we'd be glad to. Glad to. Matter of fact, one of them was Carter Hunter with Lambert Moving and Storage. He said, let's do it together. Let's do it. Hey, I always want a truck shop. Let's do it together. So in 1979, January 1, we opened up Lewis and Hunter Engineering Equipment Company. And that's what I got. So we didn't laugh at it, because he wanted to count all the money, want me to do all the work. And I told him that wasn't going to work. So about a year later, we dissolved, and I went and did it for myself, Lewis Transportation Service. I've been doing it ever since.
So let me just go back a little bit. You, when you came out, you went in. You became a member. You've always been a member of the NAACP.
Yeah, most of them they kept us members.
And then when you came back, when you got out of the Air Force, people asked you to come back in and be more active as an adult.
Well, like I said, Barbara Pierce, I think, is the most instrumental person about that. We all knew each other. We grew up together. And so she was pushing us to be, be a part of it, and be active part of it. That's how that's how I ended up being president.
And how long were you, as an adult, did you come back before you became president?
We got married in '72, so I came back in '71. I came back in December '71, and '72, August of '72, August the 26th. 1972, me and my wife got married. So sometime after that, I would say sometime either 73 or 74, I got actively involved in NAACP, NAACP. And I can't remember how long it lasted though. I know that I moved from there to the Auburn Improvement Society. I don't know whether that was the result of Auburn NAACP losing its effectiveness or not, because that's what we did to work on the Martin Luther King Park and Martin Luther King birthday. So if the Auburn NAACP was active, I think it'd have been more involved in that. But I think it kind of lost its luster for a moment.
Why do you think that was?
People moved away. Our age, I'm talking about, who was active in it. Older people had gotten older, like Mama. They wasn't as active in it. They figured we were old enough to take over what they were doing. We ought to be able to do it. Things like that.
And then, so you moved to the Improvement Association where you were the vice president. Okay. Now, do you remember when the was it a branch or a chapter? Because I'm still confused over. The people over in Opelika tell us it's important, but I've never understood, what the difference was. Or
I don't know whether it was a branch or a chapter either. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But Dr. Hebert told us this is I believe, a branch, in which it's important to know.
I think we was a chapter though.
Okay.
I think we was a chapter. I don't think we was a branch to nobody else. I think we was a chapter.
So,
cause I remember getting something one time from the national office. Yeah, I think we was a chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we was a chapter.
Now, how long was there a chapter in Auburn?
You need Barbara Pierce to answer that question.
Because I know the one over in Opelika was formed and went active, and as soon as the state of Alabama lifted the ban on the NAACP, they opened that chapter in Opelika. Was the Auburn chapter, was it here before that?
What year was that?
That was 65.
No, it had to be a year before that, because We integrated.
Okay.
We had to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
It had to be before that.
yeah.
It had to be. Our mom and them were active in
Okay.
it. Yeah. And Mud Deer them, they had us enrolled in as kids. Yeah, it had to be
Okay.
before that. Yeah. Yeah.
And now eventually it, I guess, closed down.
I don't really know what happened with the Auburn chapter. I don't know whether I know I went in business for myself, so I'm more involved with business.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that chapter.
Now you're back involved with the NAACP here in Lee County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got involved in it again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When did you? Did you ever leave NA? Did you ever like withdraw your membership, or you?
No, I never withdraw my membership.
Okay.
It just wasn't active. I guess.
Just wasn't active.
Yeah.
When did you decide to get active again?
When they I think we received some information about them in Lee County. Somebody called me
Okay.
and wanted to talk to me, kind of like you did, about the old shaft or whatever, and told us about the thing happening in Opelika. So we got it re-engaged in it.
Okay. Do you remember when that was?
What was that? Sometime this year, I believe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, sort of in a bigger picture, and this is one of the last couple of questions I'm going to ask you because we've been here longer than I thought we would, longer than I planned on. But see, that's why I have a list of questions. If I didn't have this list of questions, we'd still be here at 2:00. Civil rights organizations in the United States sort of come up into the spotlight and then they kind of fade away. I mean, you and I could probably get together and list 5 or 10 of them. I mean, there's things like SNCC, SELC, CORE, Black Panther Party. Now there's BLM, and not that they're not doing good work, but they're. I just found out I went on the internet and found out SNCC still exists. I hadn't heard from anything about them in years. But NAACP is 114 years old.
Mm-hmm.
NAACP is always there. What do you think gives NAACP that longevity? That they're always. I mean, what makes them different? They don't bubble up and then go down. They're just always. It seems like on an even strain. They're just always there. What do you think makes them different?
I think it's the original foundation of what it was created for. I think the others, it's kind of like I pastor, right? I'm in the Christian Mr. Episcopal Church. It's kind of like sometimes like church organizations. Sometimes people in the organization don't think they're going the way they want it to go or whatever. And then some, are bold enough to break off and do their own thing. And then some people look at it and say, well, that's not really what I think it ought to be focusing on, so I'm going to start my own. And I think those things will bubble up. But I don't think they, as I like to say in the ministry, I don't think they rooted it into what the reality of what they're trying to do. So they kind of fade over a period of time when the luster leaves on what they are, the tension leaves on it. But I think the NAACP is based on the values of what it originally was for, and they're still here. Even though we have young people who may not see it as needful for right now, but it's old preacher used to say, and I still say, just keep living long enough. A few more rides and sit in the sun, and you'll see the need. But I think that's why it's still here. I think it's what it was built in, based on. Those are things that are still prevalent. We can sit here and say that, things are better than 1966, but racism hadn't left. It's still here. Discrimination is still here. If that was not the case, Trump would pumped all these folks up to the crazy stuff they doing. I mean, it's still here. And so they're fighting it not in it's like in the military. They're not fighting in a glorious way. They're fighting in the trenches every day. I mean, the NAACP is in the trenches every day. It just don't show up when the battle waving the flag of glory. They fighting the whole time in the trenches. So I think that's why they still here.
Okay. I want to talk to you. I'm not going to, but I may come back and talk to you about it. With, like I said, I've got another project going that's going to involve Auburn United Methodist Church, and as you know, Mount Zion. I've been told. I want to make sure Mount Zion grew out of when they decided to segregate Auburn Methodist Church. Mount Zion, I've been told, and I want to verify it. The Mount Zion Church was what the black members of Auburn Methodist Church formed. That was back in the 1870s.
Mount Zion?
Yeah, I've been told that.
Mount Zion.
What's your church?
Mine's St. Luke.
St. Luke's. I don't know why I said Mount Zion. You're talking about getting old and getting forgetful. But I was told St. Luke's was formed by, and I want to verify that.
The members that was put out of Auburn United Methodist. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's our history.
So I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, but that's a discussion for another day. So I'm going to hang on to you. It probably won't happen until after the first of the year.
Okay.
So I'm going to hang on to your phone number.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be working that as well with the support of the Auburn History Department.
Okay.
And so that I can have access to their expertise. And religion is an aspect of the civil rights movement. I want to talk to you about that as well, because you're.
Well, I preach Sunday in church, man. We have an issue now with attendance, but I try to tell people. I mean, people may. Sometimes my wife tell me I'm rough on the edges, but the truth is the truth. Without the black church, I don't think that we'd be where we are today in the race relation.
And I will tell you, I had a conversation last week with some. It's very interesting to me where I'm in my 60s and I'm in classes with people in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear people say things like, well, I don't know that churches should be getting into politics. And I'm like going, well, when you have a segment of your population you tell you can't be involved in politics, their church is their only place they have left to go.
That's right.
And that's where, and if you think they're not going to use those churches as a way to improve their condition in life,
right,
which is all local politics is,
that's
anyway.
Right. That's right.
For the whites were allowed to do that in the political sphere. They had to have organizations that would advocate and give them agency, and that's where they wound up at. But,
well, the church, the black church is well, we train everybody. You couldn't go to segregated. You couldn't go to schools. You couldn't go out. We train everybody. We train you how to speak, taught you how to write. Well, black church did that. We gave opportunity to stand before people, and some of the great leaders that we have, Dr. King, all them came out of the church because they were trained early in life as little kids to stand up and do speeches, to make presentations, and we put on black church. You put on drama, plays and stuff because you had no place to do it. You could, and that's I think sometimes that's what's affecting us today. Is people know. It's like I told some people before people are forgetting their history. And when you as man said, if you don't remember where you came from, you don't know where you're going. Yeah,
I was teaching when I retired from the Department of Defense. I taught up at a small technical college, taught public speaking, and one of my other instructors, who was he was a very conservative Republican. He walked by and he said, and he heard me showing Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. And he saw me, he stopped by my office, he said, were you teaching your students to talk like Martin Luther King? And I said, no, I'm showing them really, really good speeches. And he said, well, I've always thought that Martin Luther King just taught like a Baptist preacher. And I'm like going, and you say that like it's a bad thing. I don't understand. He was an effective, so where he got that training and what style he picked up.
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me. He was an incredibly effective speaker. Anyway, now we're off the topic. Let me close this out. I'm
going to tell you this: when I grew up in the church, and I get on parents today. When I grew up in the church, we had Christmas speeches, Easter speeches. You could not read it. You had to memorize it and speak it, and that's what taught these kids to be able to have public speaking and do a good job, because you wasn't allowed to sit there and read it. You couldn't do it. You had to memorize it. And I remember when I was a little boy, they gave me a speech that had 3 paragraphs in it. Man, you talking about somebody who was under pressure? Man, because I know I had to do them 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I was used to that one line or that one paragraph where you got 4 lines of speech. They didn't want to have 3 paragraphs in it. I did it, but man, you talking about somebody who was struggling? Because I knew that I couldn't read it.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'd get punished if I didn't do it.
Okay, so I'm going to wind things up. Like I said, I have to verify and again ask you, and I need you to answer. You're aware that we have been recording this interview?
Yes, I'm aware.
And you're okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Pastor Lewis, thank you very much. I'll be back in touch. I don't know what the next step is in this specific project with the NAACP chapter in Opelika, but on behalf of the university and behalf of this project, I want to thank you for your cooperation. It's 10:40, so we went for, I was hoping for an hour and 15. We went a little long. So I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to get out of your hair and let you get on with your day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. No, now we're recording again.